All right, it's 7:30. Guess what? I'm starting because in the nose, wait for no one. Courtney will be on with us. We have a special guest, our tax strategist, Courtney Epps, whom we have partnered with her company, Out of the Box Business Solutions. And she is a rock star. And she's going to give us an update on some of the statistics, some of the money that she's been able to save for our people so that you guys can get your head around how cool that is. And also, we're building a page for her in the Outreach app. So you'll be able to send out her video, some nice little messaging around her value proposition that she's offering, and then be able to follow up like drip campaign and stuff with her, with some of the cool things she's got. So let's go ahead and kick this off. This In the Know is all about the tax strategy session. But before we get to that, I got to do some recognition because I got 2 pages of rank advancements, and I'm really proud of you guys. So let's kick this off with recognizing our consultant 20s. You guys are awesome. Consultant 20s. Tressavon McClary, consultant 20 out of Providence, Rhode Island. Congratulations. Lori Anderson, consultant 20 out of Seabrook, New Hampshire. Trevor Davis, consultant 20 out of Aurora, Colorado. Roselle Watson, consultant 20 out of Atlanta, Georgia. Congratulations, Roselle. Patricia O'Connor, consultant 20 out of Johnston, Rhode Island. Bruce Young, consultant 20 out of Lauderdale by the Sea, Florida. Sounds exotic. Michael Lembo, consultant 20 out of Lincoln, Rhode Island. A lot of her eyes coming up. Kathy Wilkes, consultant 20 out of Herndon, Virginia. Congratulations, Kathy. Michael Kravitz, consultant 20 out of Greenwich, Connecticut. John Maribel. Apologize if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. Consultant 20 out of Brooklyn, New York. Congratulations to John. Felix Semedo, and that's a consultant 20 out of Central Falls, Rhode Island. Sheldon Chandler, consultant 20 out of Salisbury, North Carolina. Jamie Cherap, consultant 20 out of Rockville, Maryland. Congratulations, Jamie. Andrew Rich, consultant 20 out of Middleburg, Florida. Isaiah Beard, or Baird, consultant 20 out of Leesville, Louisiana. Nice. Terry Drain, consultant 20 out of Long Beach, California. Congratulations, Terry. Wade and April Cowart, consultant 20s out of St. Augustine, Florida. Congratulations to you, Wade and April. James Chung, consultant 20 out of Fullerton, California. Preston Cotton out of Lexington, Kentucky. Rolando Morales out of Providence, Rhode Island. Nick Caldor out of West Bloomingfield, Michigan. Bill Rogers out of Lake Worth, Florida. John McLeese out of Baltimore, Maryland. And BL out of Johnston, Rhode Island. Congratulations. Those are our consultant 20s for the week. Now, here's our consultant 40s. You ready? Consultant 40s. Tyler Rogers out of Seabrook, New Hampshire. Mark Miller out of Spokane, Washington. Karen Benson out of Haverhill, Mass. Gary Diltz out of Aurora, Colorado. Dolores Bastoni out of North Providence, Rhode Island. Alan Schiffer out of Dallas, Texas. John Goodwin out of St. George, Utah. Robert Giordano out of Stamford, Connecticut. Nancy Galambos out of Munster, Indiana. Nice. Jenny Cote out of Leominster, Mass. PJ out of Houston, Texas. Ramon Ortiz out of Providence, Rhode Island. Stephen Belosi out of West New York, New Jersey. That's a tongue twister. Val Rogers out of Willington, Connecticut. John Neumeister out of Essex, Maryland. Tom Scally out of Rosedale, Maryland. Egbert Paz out of Chelsea, Massachusetts. Those are our consultant 40s. Congratulations to you guys. All right, now's our consultant 80s. You ready? Kyle Reynolds out of Cypress, Texas. Andrew Farrell out of Falls Church, Virginia. Elbert Nan out of Gambrels, Maryland. Yong Jin out of Gambrels, Maryland. And OKK's Bill Bully out of Reno, Nevada. Awesome. Love it. All right, now our Promoter 160s. Those that promoted the Promoter 160s since last week. SL Group, Larry Rowland and Sky Canyon, Promoter 160s out of Boulder, Colorado. Jim Morton, Promoter 160 out of Warwick, Rhode Island. Tom Stevenson, Promoter 160 out of Weston, Connecticut. Charles and Bill Kenny out of Cookiesville, Maryland. And Tavette Lazenby out of Atlanta, Georgia. Awesome crew there. Now we have one Promoter 320, Diana Marino. Congratulations to you. Promoter 320 out of Norwalk, Connecticut, which I believe is updated to Stamford, Connecticut. And one Promoter 650, Mr. or Mrs. SF. Promoter 650 out of Virginia Beach, Virginia. So those are our rank advancements for the week. How exciting is that? I don't even know how many that was. It was probably, I'm going to say 45, 50 maybe? No, more. Anyway, very cool. So Courtney is just jumping on. She just sent me a message. So hold on one second. I've got to send Courtney the link really quick so she can jump on. Give me 1 second, my friends. Be right with you. Give me 1 second. Zoom ID 932-689-468. All right, so Courtney will be joining us any second now. It is awesome when you're dealing with busy people. It's really impressive how much they can accomplish in a given day. So Courtney is one of those individuals who not only is an author of More Relaxing, Less Taxing, but she has created an extremely successful business that has allowed her to, she's gone from a business that was doing less than $5,000 a month to now a business that's doing over $100,000 a month in her bottom line, in her gross, her top line ticket sales. So as soon as she joins us and jumps on with us, we'll bring her on. But I can just tell you, from what I have seen from the individuals that are currently in process with her, I think she's got close to a dozen of our pro members that have gone through and done her process of booking their tax strategy sessions, and when they go through, to help them already with saving on taxes and all of that great stuff. So as soon as she jumps on, we're going to go through and walk through some of those statistics. I can tell you just as a high level from understanding really the value of what this does. So there's two tax systems in our society today. There's a tax system for the W-2 employee. Here she is. Courtney, I'm just going to finish my one thought and then I'm going to bring you on, all right? There's two tax systems in the U.S. There's the tax system for the W-2 employee, which is designed to create wealth in order to pay or in order to fund the government. Then tax system number two is the tax system for the employer, which is designed to create jobs which then creates W-2 employees, which is then designed to fund the government. So you've got W-2 employees that are paying approximately 40% of their income in taxes in partnership and in league with the government. And then you have business creators who pay approximately 15% of taxes-ish. And their whole goal is to create more W-2 employees so that they can then in turn fund the government. So why is it that a company like Amazon, who made $11 billion in profit, paid zero in taxes? It's because there is a tax code for business creators and job creators, and a tax strategy or tax code for those that are designed to fund the government. So Courtney wrote all about that in More Relaxing, Less Taxing. This is a great read. If you don't already have one, make sure you go to our website and pick one up. I do have some here at the office, so I will send out 10 people who watch this, who comment on, take away one strategy that Courtney talks about tonight, and you make a comment on that in Facebook and tag me, I'll send you a book. You'll get a free copy of More Relaxing, Less Taxing. How's that sound, Court?
It sounds good. Can you hear me okay?
Can hear you great. How you been?
Good.
You went from one webinar to one thing to another thing, and we got
crazy.
That's okay. We love crazy. Busy people are often the most successful because they don't sit down and let grass and moss and stuff grow under their feet, right?
Yes, definitely. I don't have time for that.
Congratulations on all of your success. As of late, you have created quite a little machine. I see that you're in your new office. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about what's behind you?
Oh, this is the airport. I'm about to leave. I'm going to Fort Lauderdale actually to look at buying another accounting firm tomorrow. So I'm going to go do due diligence for the next 2 days.
Got it. Okay. Well, so then that's not your office behind you. Well, technically it is your office because right now that's your office.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Awesome. Well, you did move into a new office. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about kind of what happened since you were at our summit and since you spoke? Just give me a little bit of heads up on what's happened.
Yeah, so I mean, we just got a 1,200 square foot office, maxed it out, and we are waiting on another 4,000 square feet to be available for us, hopefully by the end of this month or around the 15th of November. So we'll be moving in that facility as well. We've got 17 employees who are working for us now, so it's super crazy. Trying to obviously save people money in taxes is a big deal. So we're getting a lot of influx of new bookkeeping clients, new tax clients, and then doing tax strategy for people. So we've been able to find now an upwards of between $5,000 and $50,000 every time we do a tax strategy session with someone. So that's been pretty beneficial. And in the last 2 weeks, we've been able to save about $700,000 that we found that people have overpaid in taxes. So big deal. Yes.
I love that. We're obviously going to start tracking the amount of money you're saving for our clients, because we're going to add that to our, right now you saw at Summit, we had hit $4.5 million in savings. And when you're just starting a business, you kind of have these goals. You're like, oh, wow, I'd really like to save somebody, $1 million. I'd like aggregate my customers. I'd like to save them $1 million. And now pretty soon you're going to be at like, okay, we had another $1 million week this week.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, it's been crazy, to be able to, and what happens is when you save somebody that kind of money, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 more than they pay, more than they got back last year, more than they, a ton, what's the word I'm trying to say? So if they owed 50 grand last year and this year they owed 10, then now we got to go back and amend. So they want us to go back to 2017, 2016, 2018 and amend tax returns. So it's been a crazy ride. And obviously none of these people have bookkeeping, because I don't know what it is about business owners, but they think that they are not supposed to have bookkeeping. They're supposed to have some sort of Excel spreadsheets. And I'm like, none of that's going to help you in an audit. Your receipts are irrelevant. It is not going to help you. Like, we have to put this stuff in outside QuickBooks or some sort of tax software so we can not only save them money, because typically what happens is that clients are just tracking their receipts. And so they're not thinking about all these other expenses that they have access to. And because they're only tracking receipts, I mean, if I tracked receipts only, I'd probably pay in $150,000 in taxes. I mean, so, you know, we go back and find all this information through their bookkeeping, and they realize that they've overpaid tens of thousands of dollars because they decided not to do bookkeeping, or they decided not to hire that out. So, you know, it's been a crazy, I think we have 45 people right now that we're going backwards just to do 16 and 17 and 18, plus all of the bookkeeping that goes along with it. So it's nuts.
So, all right. So walk us through the process. Someone decides that their Harry Potter wand isn't going to be sufficient for their taxes, right?
Yes.
So take us point to post. I'm a brand new pro consultant with Vive, and I just learned that I get a free tax strategy session with OTB Tax, right? Out of the box business solutions. I get to go and I get a tax strategy session. So I book it on vivepro.youcanbook.me.
Correct.
vivepro.youcanbook.me. That's where Vive Pro consultants would go to book their free tax strategy session with you. What happens at that point?
So they are going to answer some questions, and there are probably about 15 different questions that we ask them. Do they have an LLC? Are they treating that LLC as an S corporation? It obviously goes into helping them understand what we're asking them. Do you have one tax return as opposed to two? So then we would know you either have a partnership or a corporation. You know, do you do your own bookkeeping? If so, how do you do your bookkeeping? You know, do you have an accountant? Are you doing your own tax return? So just simple things that you'll know the answer to. What's your gross income? What industry are you in? And how did you find out about us? So, you know, we ask a lot of questions in the beginning, and as soon as you answer those questions, book your time, then we're also going to send you an email and say, okay, now it's time to upload your information to us. So you're going to send us a copy of your prior year tax returns, as many years as you want us to go back. We can't amend past 2016 unless for some reason you owed money for years. So let's just say you owed money for 2012, we could actually go back to 2012 and amend that tax return and find you money. But the minute that you pay it, the clock starts ticking. Pay off that 1 year, the clock starts ticking, and you have 2 years from the time that you paid it off, or you have 3 years from the time of filing, whichever one's later. So that's a big deal for people to understand. So when we call them, they've uploaded their information, their tax return. Some people actually have QuickBooks or some sort of software that we're tracking, and so they'd upload that information for us. We would then call them, have a conversation with them, ask them a couple more questions, and then just review their tax return. So a lot of times I'm checking, and I apologize, the airport. So a lot of times we are checking to see if there's no suspicious activity here. So just so you know, I didn't see anybody drop off any bags. But anyway, so what we'll do is on the tax strategy session is that we're going to review their tax returns. We're going to try to find any inconsistencies. So especially if they have a business, you know, I'm checking to see if they have business use of their home, if they have written off telephone, if they've written off internet, what amount of money did they write off for auto expenses? And based upon their industry, I have a really good idea of what they're going to be, what's missing for that particular industry. And so we've taught our team in order to be able to have conversations with people to see exactly what is missing really quickly. The other thing is we're checking to see how much they're paying themselves. If they have a business, that's a huge deal, and I typically see that clients are being told by their accountants to overpay themselves in a paycheck, which is allowing them to overpay themselves in self-employment taxes. So that's a huge, huge deal. Today I had one that it was an S corporation, and there was a loss of $70,000, and the accountant told the client to pay themselves $60,000 a year in a paycheck. So all they did was overpay $9,000 in self-employment taxes, which makes no total sense to me. So we'll go back and amend those payroll tax returns and amend the corporate tax returns and the payroll tax returns to get that $9,000 that they should not have paid into taxes. And then I called a discrepancy. I took the actual corporate returns. When you added them together, the W-2s did not match up. So there was a $40,000 screw up by the prior accountant that will trigger an audit for the client if we don't fix it sooner rather than later. So, just being able to catch those things early on is a big deal. And I'm not going to say we're perfect. There's things that you may come back behind me and say, well, why didn't you do this or why didn't you do that? But we are pretty good with our system and checks and balances on what we are going to write off for a client. So, I've never had a client in 18 years audited other than one, and it was a hairdresser, and it was nothing I did. It was just something it was just a random audit. And then the other one, we had a client that I handled a 7-day audit for, but it was not our tax return. And that actually was triggered because the corporate tax return and the partnership, when it flowed into the personal, it caused, the numbers were off. So that's, what a lot of times what ends up happening. So with a client, so we're having this conversation, we're talking to them about hiring their kids. We're talking to them if they don't have a business, if they're just a W-2 employee. I'm talking to them about either conservation easements or having a home-based business. Those are two really good things that they can do.
You're about ready to peel people's hair back right now. You're starting to talk about conservation easements. And so what's important is that we don't have to know any of this.
Yes.
We want to read the tax code. And
yes.
We understand all that. We can file our own taxes. We can do all that. But we don't have to. The nice thing is you guys know how to do it. And you're talking like people's minds are going, right?
Right.
It's important to understand that as a brand new consultant, I sign up for my tax strategy session, and you're going to ask me a series of questions, and I'm going to provide you some information.
Yes.
And you guys are going to go into your little think tank, and you're going to come back to me and say, hey, what about this and what about this? So do you have follow-up questions for me? Do you email me stuff? What is it that what's my next approach?
What we typically do is it's just a one-step. Typically. So we have a client, we tell them what we can do for them. It may be setting up an LLC. It may be setting up an S Corp election. So we're going to invoice them or send them an estimate. They're going to typically make a decision immediately because, especially if you can find someone money immediately, they're ready to go forward. So, we're going to invoice them. We're going to send up a follow-up email showing them how much money we can save them, showing them what we talked about, and give them the information that they need in order to move forward. So,
so if I understand correctly, so you're saying if in my questions that you ask me as a new pro member, and you say, do you have an LLC, for example, and I say no, and on your side of the house, you're looking at it going, holy cow, if you just had a home-based business, if you set up an LLC, we could have saved you $8,000 instead of $2,000.
Yes, correct.
So you're going to tell me, okay, Rob, invest, $500 or whatever on setting up an entity. And by the way, we can do that for you, right? I know that's what you provide. So by the way, we can do that for you. We can get it all set up for you. But by doing that, by investing this $500 in your business, we can now save you $6,000 more than we could have unless you invest in this business, right? Does that make sense?
Yes, that's it. That's exactly what we do. Sorry, there was a child screaming. I just wanted to make sure you didn't hear it.
That's all good. So really, you're determining the economic viability of certain decisions, and you see the whole picture, and you say, okay, without an entity, I can save this person $4,000. Great, congratulations, W-2 employee. But if you invest $500 to set up an entity, and by the way, we can do that for you. And by the way, how much do you charge to set up an entity for somebody?
So for an LLC, it's $250, and then if they need the S Corp election, it's another $250.
All right, so you're talking anywhere between $250 and $500. You can set up an entity for somebody, and then that could increase their tax savings on this year's tax returns from
Yes.
4,000 to 8,000.
Right. And we're also reiterating to them that by being involved in the network marketing industry, that it's the smartest thing that they could possibly be doing. So if you are a pro member and you are, we're going to have a conversation with you about that. How much money is it truly saving you in taxes just by having this home-based business? And so you may not have gotten involved and you may not be making a ton of money right now. But the thing is if you just stay in long enough, you're going to win, obviously. But the other thing is the massive tax deductions that go around it. And so, I educate through that whole process. 46% of Americans don't have an extra $400 to their name. And what you guys are doing not only impacts cost of living, but what we're doing is freeing up money in taxes. So money they didn't know they had. So what you guys do with bills and what I'm doing with the tax savings, it's a double whammy. Those are the two things that are guarantees, right? People say there's two things in life you can guarantee. That's taxes and dying. And to me, I've never paid taxes. So I'm not guaranteeing that because there are ways to get around that. I watched a movie last night called The Laundromat, and there are 60 different companies totaling $70 billion a year in income in 2018 in the United States last year that paid $0 in taxes. And the reason why is they just know tax strategy. So it's perfectly legitimate. And as a home-based business owner or a business owner, you have the same tax advantages as Amazon or Walmart. You just have to understand what those tax advantages are. And that's what I'm teaching people. So some of the stuff that I talk about, I explain it in layman's terms, like the conservation easement. I make it super simple. It's not even something you need to understand. It's just a tax strategy. It's just something you can do. So, we're not going to, we dumb it. I'm not going to say dumb it down, but we do a really good job of just teaching people, look, these are the strategies. These are the things that you can do. Do you want to save money in taxes? Yes, that's always the answer, right? Here's how much it would cost you for us to fix this problem and go back and get all this money. Do you want to do that? Yes. Okay. Do you want us to do the bookkeeping too so you can save more money, or do you just want us to do the tax returns? Either way is fine with us. Oh, well, I want you to do all of it. Okay. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to send you an invoice. You're going to pay that invoice. You're going to click this link. You're going to fill out this information. We're going to onboard them and have a conversation with them, connect them to a bookkeeper who's going to onboard them and get their information so that we can set that up in QuickBooks. And then what happens is once we have this information in, we need to do another tax strategy session with them, because if they haven't entered in their stuff for 2019, how in the world can I tell you how to save money this year when I don't know how much money you're making? I don't know what your income is. I don't know what your expenses are. So that sets them up for another tax strategy session so that we can free them up more and more and more money. So that's the goal, is just, here's this strategy. You make more money, here's this strategy. You make some more money, here's this strategy. Let's hire your kids. Let's buy a Tesla. Let's do all these things. Or just take what you're currently doing and actually track the expenses on it.
Nice. Well, so let's dial in and talk a little bit of statistics around kind of our people. So we have not set you up yet. We're building your own page in our outreach app. So
awesome.
Can share your service and they can sell their $99 tax strategy session, or they can use it as a, hey, by the way, here's a little video from our tax partner. She's owned the company for 18 years. Your little video comes up that I edited, and you're all, hey, how are you? I hate doing taxes, but I love finding money, right?
Right.
So we're going to go ahead and kick that off in our outreach app, and it'll have a little link to click to sign up for their tax strategy session right from the app. So
awesome.
We're going to try to make it as simple as possible to get people there. And of course, any consultant that's listening, you could use that as a sales point that says, hey, this tax strategy session is $99 if you're not a pro member, but if you're a pro member, you get it for free. So sign up for $189 today, and then book your tax strategy session because you're $99 ahead.
And the $189 is a tax deduction. So now you've literally saved more money in being a pro member than you've had to pay because of the taxes and the $99.
Amen.
There you go.
All right. So I know eventually we're going to be tracking as our numbers go up, because you've already done some. Don't mention any names, of course. I know you do that, but but you've already done some tax strategy sessions. How have you found savings for our people already?
Yeah, I know that we've done 2 that we've taken on as clients, and upwards of 15 grand so far. Yeah.
So $15,000 in savings to them?
Yes.
And now is that recouping money, or is that just money they don't have to pay on their taxes?
We haven't gone backwards yet. That was just forwards. So to do the 2018 tax returns. So one more, we actually have to go backwards and amend. So comparable to same income from year to year, what they saved in tax savings this year compared to last year with the same income.
$15,000.
Yes.
So anybody that's listening, you're thinking, well, wait a second, is it worth it to become a pro member and build a VIV business? Well, I get a free tax strategy session, and then someone comes in and does my taxes and saves me $15,000.
Yes.
Money saved is money earned, right? So if you save them $15,000, that's $15,000 that they are not giving to the government. Legally, they can keep in their pocket.
Yes. And the great thing about tax savings is that's 15 grand, but that's more like $22,000 that they would have to make in order to be equivalent to the tax savings, because you're not paying taxes on it.
You're not paying taxes on the taxes.
Yes. That's why I tell people all the time, I'm like, I am tax deductible, your taxes are not. Right?
Right.
You can pay me a little or you can pay them a lot. You just decide.
Sure. So it's great. I love it because, you had said a couple things at Summit that have really just kind of resonated. The teaching people that there's two tax codes in the U.S., one for employees and one for employers, or wealth creators versus employee or income wage generators, I think you said. Anyway, that has always resonated with me in terms of one of the reasons why we were so excited to kind of ultimately get you on board. And I know that it's kind of mentally it's a little bit of a slow uptick because people are like, I don't know about tax. You don't have to know about taxes.
Right. Yes, you don't.
Everybody has to pay them. So whether you pay 40% or 15%, and we're not making any claims, that we're just saying that, listen, you can either be a part of this code or a part of this code. Courtney's company is the one that is going to say, look at your scenario, and you are paying so much more than you should or than you would if you just did these 3 things.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, and I think, one of the biggest things, if I were talking to my friends and family or anyone about, doing a tax strategy session, it would just be pretty simple. Are you happy with how much money you're paying in taxes? Nobody is, right? No, I'm not happy. I found a way to help people save between $5,000 and $50,000, and through a tax strategy session. So we've got an accountant, and man, she is literally saving people tens of thousands of dollars. And you need to book a time with her. She's taking new clients. We're using her, and what better way to actually be able to say that to someone than to book the tax strategy session and see what we can do for you? Because guys, I'll tell you, as an accountant, I was an accountant for 13 years before I knew the benefits of being a home-based business owner. And the only reason I figured that out is because I became a home-based business owner, and I started doing tax returns for people who were in network marketing. And I did a tax return for someone, and I saved them $4,100 more than they'd gotten back the year before, because all of my clients in the beginning were all business owners, like every one of them. So she asked me if I would do her tax return. So the year before, she was a W-2 employee. And then the next year, she was a W-2 employee with a home-based business. I saved her $4,100. She'd never been successful in network marketing, but she was attempting as hard as she possibly could. She just sucked at sales. I mean, she really did. She was horrible. Like, she was just horrible. And so, you know, I saved her that money, and then she was able to actually utilize the product. And she went on a trip. It was a travel company. And so she went on a trip, and once she did that, she actually hit the first rank of residual income in the company, which was 60 people, 30 left, 30 right. So it took her a month and a half, but she just started building and building and building. And the thing is she built that belief. So she hadn't made money yet, but she was able to use the product, and she realized how beneficial it was. So I did 900 tax returns in this industry and realized that the average W-2 employee can save between $4,000 and $8,000 a year on their taxes. I would not have known that had I not been in network marketing, did a tax return for someone, saved them money, and was able to show, okay, last year as a W-2 employee, you made this, you had to pay this much in taxes. Now this year as a W-2 employee with a home-based business, here's how much you paid in taxes. So most of the accountants that you're running into, they have no clue. They've never run a home-based business. They don't think it's legitimate for you to have a home-based business. So the goal is for us to educate people. Here, you have massive tax deductions just for owning a home-based business. The same tax, and here's the key, the living expenses that you have today, those become business expenses the minute you decide to be a business owner. So they look almost identical, which doesn't make sense to an accountant, because they say, well, you know, if you can't specify between personal and business, it's not tax deductible. That's not what the tax code says. So all of these people have been lied to, not meaning to be lied to, but it's just the fact that they're not educated. These other accountants are not educated in this information, so they're just telling what they've heard. You know, so brick and mortar is the way to go. You got to have a traditional business. You can't write off certain things. This is going to trigger an audit. It's all just crap. And the minute you stop believing that and realize that there are massive tax deductions for you and me and everybody else out there, you'll start selling these $99 tax strategy sessions like they're, I don't know, like they're the greatest thing on the face of the planet, because all we're doing is finding money for people that they didn't even know that they had.
Man, I love that. And I'll tell you why, because I met someone the other day who said, my accountant fights me on every deduction.
It's crazy.
And you had said at Summit from stage, if somebody is going to fight you on whether or not you should get a deduction, do you think they're going to fight for you when you get up with it? And then
they will not.
We will fight for you. And I just thought, man, she is gold. That is awesome.
Well, it's just, I mean, you just know, Robert. I mean, honestly, I live it, breathe it, sleep it every single day. You know, I now have an office, unfortunately. You know, I don't want an office, but I was tired of having all my employees at my office, at my house. But, you know, I still work from home, and my children still work from home, and my husband still works part-time from home. So we can still have the massive tax deductions that are involved in having a home-based business, because I won't ever let those go. I mean, it's just ridiculous how much money I save every single year in taxes. You know, my next door neighbors got mad. We actually had to relocate because my next door neighbors got mad because they didn't want my employees there on the property. And because I said that I bought a swimming pool instead of paying taxes on Facebook. I'm like, you know, all of them are W-2 employees. You know, they just don't get it. If they just, you know, hey, maybe they could walk by my house and actually learn some information instead of turning me into the city of Greer. Oh, well, anyway, I'm not saving them money.
They'll stay in their myopic little world.
That's right.
All right. Well, any parting words? Any thoughts? I know that you know the process is simple. If you're a pro member, you go to vivpro.youcanbook.me, and if you're selling the tax strategy session, you would send them to book their link or book their tax strategy session at taxstrategy.youcanbook.me.
Right.
And either of those two links will get them the same valuable service from your company. It's just one, you're going to charge $99 up front.
Right.
And other, if it's a Vive Pro member. Any words of wisdom, any parting thoughts?
No, I just love what you guys are doing, and I'm proud of you for what you're doing. I mean, this is, I probably talk about Vive every single time I get in contact with someone because you guys can affect cost of living, and those are the two things I talk about every single day is cost of living because of the amount of cost of living. People are going in debt every single day. And then I also talk about taxes, so I can affect taxes. And together, guys, we can change the world. Like, we really can. And I am going to disrupt the accounting industry. I was talking to a PR person today, and, I want to be prepared and make sure, because I'm going up against the big boys. We are going to be PricewaterhouseCoopers, Deloitte and Touche, KPMG for the small to medium-sized businesses, because you should be entitled to the same information, whether you make $100,000 a year or whether you make $50 million a year. So that's what we're trying to deliver, is to give that information so that we can help people save money today, not wait till they're a $50 million company, so that they can one day be a $50 million company. So I'm just super excited to partner with y'all. And if I can help in any way, reach out, let me know. There's also that More Relaxing, Less Taxing Facebook page. It is free. I put a lot of content in there, and it's called More Relaxing, Less Taxing. It's just a Facebook group. I do a lot of like why you'd be brain dead, lives with people that not have a business. So I teach a lot through there. So if you want to check that out, that'd be great as well.
Love it. And I do endorse that. It's a great page. I get a lot of updates from there. She does a lot of live content. You got to invest in yourself. And part of investing in yourself is investing the time to learn from people like Courtney, who are just doing great things and saving people money, which is so core to Vive's value proposition. If you can sign up today as a Vive consultant and save $4,000 to $8,000 on your taxes this year, just because you became a part of Vive, I mean, you're money ahead for years, just for doing that. So I look forward to working with you. You are a delight. You are a lovely soul. You did a great job at our summit. Everybody loved you. Everybody still talks about you. Please travel safe, and then let's just get these things booked, and let's get a lot of people saving a lot of money on their taxes.
All right, man. Talk to you soon.
Bye,
guys.
Be well. See you later. All right, everyone. We're grateful to have her as a part of the Vive family. She's a great vendor. She's super classy, super hardworking, and very talented. And we look forward to a long relationship with her and all of our Vive consultants. This is This in the Know. Next week is Sheila Markowitz. I will be in Bogota, Colombia, picking up my son, who is done serving a full-time mission for our church. And my wife and I are leaving day after tomorrow, and we'll be gone for 9 days. So I look forward to seeing you when I get back. But Sheila Markowitz is doing next week's In the Know. Support her. Have your teams on there. She's talking about being a responsible sponsor. It'll be great. Talk soon. Have a great week.